You know, I would imagine that many of you had a similar experience to the one I'm going to share, which is really brief, but where I grew up in Illyria, in our living room, and I'm trying to recall this as I say it, we had a picture of Jesus knocking on the door, and I have no idea, maybe he's knocking on the doors of our hearts, but I often think of that image, that picture, and I can see it like it was yesterday in my mind's eye, you know, that relates, I believe, to this gospel here today. You know, he who seeks finds, he who asks receives, the one who knocks, the door will be open. So there's something here about prayer and the importance of persisting in prayer, and I certainly know that this is not an easy thing to do. Sometimes, at least for me, and I don't know that I'm that much different from everyone else, I can struggle in prayer, kind of focusing, trying to motivate myself to do more, to pray more, and I got to believe that's an experience that many of us have. And I read this little story last week that I'd share with you this morning. It's about an elderly woman who is struggling to pray, but it's just not working. She says the right words, but she has no sense at all of God's listening or God's presence with her. So she goes to her wise pastor, and he counsels her to go to her room each day and for 15 minutes to knit before the face of God. She was a great knitter. And the pastor forbids her to say a single word of prayer. Just sit in your room and knit. Just knit and try to enjoy the quiet of your room, he tells her. So the woman thinks, 15 minutes to do nothing and not feel guilty. So she gives it a try. And slowly, very slowly, she begins to enter the silence created by her noiseless knitting. And she begins to perceive, she says, that this silence is not simply the absence of noise. This silence actually has substance to it. It's not the absence of something, rather it is the presence of something. And continuing to knit, she discovers at the heart of the silence there is God, who is all stillness, all peace, all poise. So what that says is prayer is not simply a formula of words or a choreographic ritual. You know, sometimes, and maybe the best way, is just to sit quietly, humbly in the presence of God. And I do believe that in that prayerful presence, the Lord speaks to us in our hearts.